Larry was known as Dr. Oxide, as many of you knew him, and some of you call him Doc. Um, I always think of my brother in different ways, and the poet, the painter, he was always painting. Every time I saw him, he had boxes of paints, and he was always doing some picture. The singer-songwriter, of course, but always the activist. My brother was, I would say, in more things than not, always an activist. He'd been writing songs for over 40 years, and many of those songs became rallying calls at different political environmental events. Over the years, he performed not just in Alberta, but in Toronto, in Vancouver, where I live. He even played his song Acid Rain in 1979 at the first conference on acid rain in Toronto. It was played on the radio there during that conference. He later played at many other events, whether it was for saving whales, whether it was for renouncing uranium, whether it was for protecting the wild horses. I don't know if you remember, but there was those horses at Suffield years ago. He played at a number of rallies for that, trying to save those horses. And then, of course, Greenpeace. He played at many benefits for Greenpeace. His last benefit, or series of benefits, were Edmonton Footbridge. There was a bridge here, I understand, that everybody was trying to save. Well, he was one of those guys on that bridge, playing with some of you people in this room probably, trying to save that bridge. And of course, he always had a thing fighting big oil. And Larry was always the big oil guy, right? Fighting big oil. This venue, the Leaf, is a very fitting place. Many of you might remember my brother as a host and a player at some of Edmonton's other now gone open stages, Rigoletto's, the Marengo Cafe, JJ's Pub, the Sugar Bowl, Express Cafe. I think it's still around, I'm not sure, but he played there many times. His last performance was a Greenpeace performance. It was that benefit, which they call it an arts political benefit, and that's where he played his two I won't call it anti-oil sands. It's always about thinking about what we're doing. So he had his Highway 69 blues he played there, and his Lower Than Gravity song that he played there. In fact, Larry, many of you might not know, was an actual director of Greenpeace at one time here in Edmonton, their first office. And he had the dubious distinction of being one of the only people let go as a management person from Greenpeace. And the reason being was because in those days, Greenpeace was trying to be a money machine where they were trying to get everybody to go out there and get funds. And Larry's thing was, and then the idea is if you didn't make the quota, you're let go. Well, Larry could not let go of anybody. His thing is if you're willing to fight for the organization, and go to jail for them, there's no way that I'm going to let somebody go, right? So but that was Larry. Yeah, he was also what I call Mr. Organic. Before the organic was even a name, like he was out there promoting, all the things to do with organic eating and all that kind of thing. And he was a crusader in, as I said, protecting our whales for many years. His song, he's written many songs. The song Volkswagen Bus, which is one of the more recent songs, speaks to his concern about GMO and pesticides and their effect on our health and the environment, of course. His song Cowbell Blues, is a sort of playful, humorous song about choosing wisely what we eat. Larry was not a vegetarian. He ate meat. But that song was about thinking about this, eh? And then, of course, his song Too Much Shit in the Sea, which is a very funny song. But it's funny, but at the same time, a very serious song. Serious song about protecting our oceans. Over the years, Larry was very fortunate to record a number of albums. 2 here in Edmonton. And in the old days, at different places, the place, I think a radio station doesn't exist anymore, it's called K-Light 96, Homestead Studios, and I think that was Larry Wagnus's group, and also Dennis Sheenan Studios. So that's his first 2 albums he did. And then he was fortunate to record in Nashville, two albums in Nashville. He knew a number of people, really distinguished players down there that liked him and liked his style, and they always invited him to go down there, and he got to record 2 albums down in Nashville. I have copies of those 2 albums, by the way. If anybody's interested, it's a free takeaway. I'd love for you to share the music with Larry. You know, in many ways, you know, Larry's gone, but he's never forgotten, because through music, that's why we're all here today, whether we're never forgotten if you're a player, and if you do that thing like he did with recording, right? Darrell is recording this. We were trying to have this go live. Unfortunately, we just couldn't do it because of some of the connections with machines back there, but he will record it, and we will post whatever happens here tonight. That'll be posted at a later time. I'm not a player, but I'd like to share one of Larry's songs. I call them poems. One of my favorites, one of his first songs he wrote, environmental songs, is called Lower Than Gravity, song he performed at that last benefit for Greenpeace as well. And it goes like this: Lower Than Gravity by Larry Sieniuc. The roar of an engine continually in my ear got me driving down the highway and shifting the gears, swishing by the rustle of the leaves in the wind. Your road of salvation is one that is sinned. My vision is restricted. I cannot see. Can't get any lower than gravity. Can't get any lower than gravity. The wheels of motion pave the sands of time. Down the middle of the garden, you painted a white line. You gotta go faster. You gotta take out the curves. Sometimes this pace of living is hard on the nerves. Salt on cement, with metal to rust, disintegration factor into dust. Too many people are pushing pipelines on through. Now there's oil leaking all over my shoes. Age of technology, projectors of pollution, windshield wiper, soluble solution. Dig a hole and fill the pit. Roll on a steamroller all over it. My vision is restricted. I cannot see. Can't get any lower than gravity. Darrell's going to, we're going to now do a short, thank you. We're going to do a very short, what I call video slideshow that Darrell put together with some images and some of Larry's actual music. And then after that, Bill Wesson will get together. And also Jay Kaczynski's here, and Darrell as well, and Bone Dog Dixon as well. They're all going to play some tunes of Larry's, or tunes on behalf of Larry. Thank you very much.